Hi everyone, and welcome back to Comic Book Issues. I'm your host, Brian Heinz, the Last Angry Geek. It's time for another one of our vlog reviews. This time it's Solo, a Star Wars story. Never tell me the odds, kid, because they're not great. Solo, to put it in gambling terms, which I believe is apropos, is a movie that breaks even. It's really the first kind of so-so Star Wars movie. I mean, there are movies that were either really bad or really good. This is kind of just middle of the road. I think it's worth a movie ticket, but let's go through everything first. First up is Han, played by Alden Ehrenreich. Now, I'm glad they didn't go for a straight-out Harrison Ford impression. That's always death in these things. He just tried to capture Han's sense of humor and his swagger, and to that respect, he's successful. He kind of captures the cockiness of Han Solo. We meet him when he's like a young man, and I kind of wish we'd gone back a little further. I wish we'd seen why he wants to get off Corellia. I wish we'd seen how bad his life was, why he fell in with the gangs, what happened to his father. There's a whole backstory missing from Han Solo. We catch him when he's already become more or less the Han Solo we know. And I wanted to see what led up to that, and we don't get that. I wanted to see where he learned to fly, where he got his piloting skills from, where he got that sense of humor from. I'm glad they kept his kind of expanded universe history intact, more or less. They always said that he joined the Imperial Academy and then dropped out, so we see that. We see him joining the Empire, and we see why he leaves. We see how he meets Chewbacca. His girlfriend in this, Qi'ra, says that he's a good guy, and that's accurate, but we never learn why he's a good guy. He just is. And I felt that's what was missing most from this movie, the characterization, the development of the characters. We just kind of get a young Han Solo adventure, and there's not too much development of the character before or after. His girlfriend, played by Emilia Clarke, the Khaleesi herself, is Qi'ra, and she was good with Han. They had chemistry, definitely, but again, there was not much backstory there. We don't know. Apparently they were friends from childhood, but we don't get to see that. We just see them together as adults. And she kind of plays this whole keeping Han at arm's length thing, and she's good enough at that, but she's in love with Han, but I can't be with you. I'm in love with you, I can't be with you. That's kind of the beats she hits over and over again, and we never get why she's so in with the Crimson Dawn organization. We never understand why she wants to advance. She says she's done terrible things, but show, don't tell. I want to know what changed from the girl Han got separated from to the crime boss that she's become. You know, she's climbing the ranks there, but how did she get to that point? You see, they're just question marks around these characters. Lando by Donald Glover. Again, Ron Howard and the writers capture the spirit of the character, if nothing else. He's the charming ladies' man. I don't understand why he abandoned Han at the end, other than the bad guy showed up, so he decided to cut his losses and leave, but they didn't show that. It's him taking off, and there's never any, decision to do the wrong thing. Lando's kind of more of a scoundrel and a villain in this than the character we meet in Empire, and he and Han are kind of in a bad place at the end of this movie. If there is a Solo sequel, there's definitely room for that. They should definitely address them and kind of fix that relationship. They're not best friends or anything in Empire, but they're definitely nicer and closer than they are where they leave off in Solo. I had no problem with L3, his co-pilot, although it seems like droids are getting all the personality these days in these movies. And it did seem a bit macabre to me that they had to take her brain when she got blown up and hook it into the Falcon so they could escape. I mean, that's like... I'd like to think if I died, my organs wouldn't be harvested so that people could just make a getaway from a bad situation, but who am I to say? Chewbacca, played by Joonas Suotamo, reprising his role from The Force Awakens and Last Jedi, because he's taken over for Peter Mayhew, whose unfortunately knees and legs have deteriorated to the point where he can't run around as Chewbacca anymore. So Jonas did the stunt work, the running around for Chewbacca in the first one, and then took over the role in Last Jedi. So he's our Chewbacca going forward. He was fine, but again, Chewbacca very underwritten. They just kind of throw him and Han together, and then they escape. Then, well, let's do this one job, then we'll go our separate ways. Oh, let's do this, then we'll go our separate ways. And by the end, they're the only two staying together. And that's not quite the bond I wanted for Han and Chewie. I'm glad they didn't do the life debt thing, because there are people who would misinterpret that as a form of slavery, perhaps, and I like that they were just buddies, they were just friends, but it didn't feel like they were brothers, you know? It didn't feel like there was a good enough reason for Han and Chewie to stay together, but they are at the end, and I think we were just meant to accept that because that's the way it is in the later films. Beckett, played by Woody Harrelson, was a very bland character, unfortunately, and he should have been a really good character because Harrelson's a good actor. He was just meant to be Han's mentor, his father figure, the guy that Han adopts some of his swagger and mannerisms from. But they give him this girlfriend and this best friend, and they die, and he punches Han, but then he's instantly over it. Han becomes like his new partner, and then he walks away from him and says, I just want to live, I just want my money. And then he keeps betraying people. Everyone's going to betray you. Oh, so you're going to betray me. Well, no, not me. They should have gone that way, perhaps. But yes, it just seemed like he didn't care about anything. It didn't seem like he had any motivating factors other than getting this money, which then I can retire and play an instrument. I don't know. That didn't seem like a good enough reason for not caring that his lover got killed, for not caring that his friends got killed, for betraying Han and Chewie. I mean, he lacked motivation. The character never emoted much, and I guess that was my problem with Beckett. Val, his girlfriend, played by Thandie Newton, was a much better character. Like, I kind of wish she'd been Han's mentor. I mean, she genuinely seems to care about Beckett. She is kind of like the hard-ass taskmaster, keeping everyone focused. Like, well, he gets distracted with Han. He's like, we got to get this money so we can get out. I thought she was a much better character. It's a shame they killed her off so quickly. Rio, voiced by Jon Favreau, was the funny character of the group. We got the serious character, the charming character, and the funny character. And he was good enough, but again, they killed him off quickly so they could bring Han and Chewie on into more important roles. I'm not sure that was necessary. They could have left the whole team together till the end and then kind of just killed everyone off. But I guess, yeah, I'm not sure why they didn't do that. I don't see it screwing with Beckett too much. Dryden Voss by Paul Bettany. He was like our first Bond villain in the Star Wars universe. The charming man with all the power and like, how are you? Are you okay? Good. You betrayed me. You know, you let me down. You know, like, I'm very nice, I'm very mannered, but I'm also ruthless and cold. And I don't want to help you or care about you. I only want what you can do for me. So he was kind of a one-note character as well, but he worked for the part he played. Where things got interesting for me was Enfys Nest, played by, spoilers, Erin Kellyman. The best thing about Solo were the swerves, that they did things that I didn't see coming. When Nest takes off his helmet and we see it's a girl with freckles, I'm like, they Samus Aran me! You know, that this Immortan Joe-style gang leader turned out to be kind of a proto-rebel, kind of stealing space fuel so the rebels can power their fleet and begin fighting back. This ragtag bunch in this makeshift armor are fighting against this criminal organization, not as rivals, but because it's the right thing to do. That I liked. That's where it got interesting. I would definitely like to see more of Nest and her crew. Hey, Warwick Davis, always a pleasure. But again, not much of a character beyond a simple motivation to do the right thing and take down the Crimson Dawn. Okay. The big cameo at the end. Darth Maul is back. I was disappointed Peter Serafinowicz did not return to do the voice. They got Sam Witwer, who I believe voiced him on the cartoons or the video games, I'm not sure. But Ray Park did come back to play the part, and I appreciate that. I'm not sure how many people got that. I'm not sure how many people know that Darth Maul was brought back in the Clone War cartoons around this time era of the stories. I'm sure a lot of people were surprised by that and didn't understand how he survived getting chopped in half. I'm not sure I understand how he got chopped in half, but I didn't see the Clone Wars cartoon. I just know he was back in that. So it probably confused a lot of people. Darth Vader in Rogue One. Yoda in Last Jedi. Now Darth Maul. Not every Star Wars movie needs a surprise cameo. I'm just letting Disney know that. Let's not start getting formulaic with how we do these things. I thought it was cool, but it was probably very confusing to some people and a tad unnecessary. Other things, I enjoyed the expanded universe stuff. They mentioned of Taras Kasai from the video game, the PlayStation video game, Masters of Taras Kasai. Aura Singh, the Phantom Menace character, who was very big in the comics around that time. Tag and Bink were supposed to be in it, but their scenes got cut. But I liked that they threw a lot of those little nods to continuity in. This was the first movie that felt like humans were the dominant race in the universe. Corellia is just filled with all these aliens. The backwater planets are filled with all these aliens. The one lady, what's her name character, the giant worm character, she was voiced by Linda Hunt. Great character. I liked that humans should be a minority in the Star Wars universe is my thought, but that's just me. Or they should at least be on equal terms with the other alien races. And the aliens are always so poorly represented in the films we have. Like, here's Chewbacca, here's Nien Nunb, here's Akbar. That's about it. There should be more aliens, more extraterrestrials working with the human races. Yeah, we got a little of that in Rogue One, but this is the first film where it feels like the aliens are really there as a presence. And it also kind of had a little bit of a satire feel to it, the pointlessness of war. Han points out, we're the invaders, we're the bad guys here. He knows the Empire is in the wrong, and yet they're invading this planet and getting blown up in front of him. So there was a little bit of, MASH satire there with war about how it's just utterly pointless. We're taking over this terrible planet and dying just so the Emperor can have complete control over everything. He probably doesn't even give a shit about this planet, but I need to have the complete set, so in my soldiers go. And Han is just like, this is so stupid, I shouldn't be here. He's running the other way. The story was kind of predictable, except one heist fails, they go into another heist that fails, and they kind of get to the final heist, and that works. At the end, I was waiting to see who double-crosses Han, Qi'ra or Beckett. I was kind of expecting Qi'ra to do it, but then Beckett does it, but then Qi'ra does it also. So there's double crosses and triple crosses, and okay, I got that. I like that they messed with my expectations a little bit, but really, beyond that, I did know somebody was going to double-cross Han, so that in itself was a bit predictable. I did like things like the call forwards, like Han bluffing with the detonator, which is a story I'm sure he tells Leia at some point, so she pulls that with Jabba in Return of the Jedi. Chewie yelling at Lando, and then we see that again in Empire, and he's still scared of Chewie. So I enjoyed that. The characters were not too deep. They just kind of assemble everyone in the form we recognize them in A New Hope, and don't spend much time building them into those characters, which I wish they would have done more of. They're just here. We put them together, now you can go to The New Hope. I hope there's a sequel. We need to kind of wrap up the story with Qi'ra and Maul, but if there's not, it wouldn't bother me too much. This film is enjoyable, but there was no, like, oh my god plot moments. There's no slack-jawed, awe-inspiring scenes. I mean, it's cool enough, it's visually interesting, it's enjoyable, but it's not great. Well, thank you very much for joining me, my friends. This has been my review of Solo, Star Wars Story. We'll be back for another review when Ant-Man and Wasp comes out. Until then, this is Comic Book Issues, and I'm your host, Brian Heinz, the Last Angry Geek.